Alright, so the rain finally died down. I guess this is a good place for it to be calm. Obviously, I'm trying to explain this stuff through a windstorm and through rainstorms, and it's complicated. It's a very complicated situation, and the details are important. Now, you can hear through this, Russell does very much sound like he's trying to help, doesn't he? Like he wants to do the right thing. He's the only one through this that's done that, with the exception of Christina Lugal. And she was limited in what she's allowed to do. The thing is that when mandatory reporters want to not do their jobs, they will dig for and fish for any excuse. But the thing is that Sean should have been informed of this abuse. He should have been informed of what I'm going through. He should have been informed that these were not delusions. And he should have been better informed of the Shelley situation. I was hoping that he and I might get to sit down in person and speak, well, better than we did. If you notice, when Russell is interrupting me, most of the time he's doing the same thing that Claire is doing, interrupting to add details or experiences. His experience with me has been obviously looking at evidence. Now, when he wanted to say we only did 4 instead of 6 because I wanted him to look at evidence, that actually helps me. That actually helps. We had enough sessions that we could have gotten all 6 of them done, by the way. And I remember filling out 6 of them. Well, I remember filling out 8 of them. But, I by the time I filled out the last 2, which I took back in, he'd already found the other ones. So it wasn't a big deal. But then when Shelly's doing it, all of a sudden she can't find any of them for 3 months. So Russell's verifying important details that needed to be turned in to mandatory reporters. This is stuff that absolutely does need to be turned in, but a mandatory reporter needs to turn it in so it's taken seriously. I'm hoping that with me and Russell it'll be taken seriously, but of course the call didn't go through. That's not my fault or Russell's. Let's press play and listen to some more of this. The rain's starting up, but it's a light drizzle.
I can't do it over the phone. Well, they haven't wanted to do it over the phone. They only want to do it in person. So I come down in person and I talk in circles in person. Yeah. This situation gets to the point where I am so overwhelmed that I do what's called info dumping. It's an autistic thing. And when I try to explain autism to people so that they can better understand the situation and so that they don't accidentally take advantage of me, then they immediately start doing the things that I tell them are wrong to do, and that is intentionally taking advantage of me at that point. When it comes to...
If I say that you're going to get the best information out of me one-on-one, you can hear right there with me and Russell, I'm not getting talked over by 2 people. I don't have somebody who feels they have a superiority over me. I'm talking to somebody who sees me as a human being here. But you also get to see, pardon me for belching, he's not a mandatory reporter, and none of them are getting to know me the way that he did in just the first 2 weeks of talking to him. He'd seen a lot of evidence, a lot of it, and there is a lot more that he hasn't seen. He has seen enough to know that I'm telling the truth. He has seen enough to know that people with more letters behind their name than anybody who works at TFCC or anybody who works at CARE, like these people are the top forensics dudes in Oregon. The ones at the Oregon State Hospital, 2 of them. And then there's also another forensics evaluator, and her name is Leslie Carter. And there's even more than that. Like, there are so many. You get to see two sets of quote unquote mental health workers. The ones who saw that I was telling the truth, and the ones who are trying to hide the fact that I was telling the truth because they made a bad assumption. They wanted to pretend that saying that I am physically assaulted by people is the same as saying that the Easter Bunny is after me Lucky Charms. It is certainly not the same thing.
Incredible abuse, the videos that you've seen, Shelley refused to look at. She said, oh, I don't have to look at them, I believe you. Oh, well, it's in the past, so I can't do anything. I went down there for almost 2 weeks. I went down there almost every day after you left to try to tell them about the people who were throwing stuff at me, people who were assaulting me, and people who were screaming racial slurs at me and screaming the F word for homosexuals out the window at me. And I was told every time that I went down there, we'll set you up an appointment with Shelley. We got appointment cards for Shelley. We've gotten nowhere with housing with Shelley. We've got nowhere with getting my disability stuff back with Shelley. And she's supposedly a mandatory reporter. And then I got other people telling me that they're having the same issues. Like one guy is telling me that it took 5 months for her to pass it on to someone else, which is literally what I'm going through for the 8th or 9th time here in care. I don't know if you knew that. As far as the peer support workers go, I come in here when I'm abused. I tell them what supports that I need. They want to push me onto housing, which I'm not going to get. I'm not going to get housing. That's because of a situation in Nebraska where I literally had to break the law because people were hurting me. I had to deal with this same exact issue in Nebraska and Colorado after Natalie was killed. There's nothing that I can do. I can show you evidence that there are literally hundreds of books. My evidence isn't shown. I've been trying to post it for years, and it's not taken seriously. No victim, especially disabled victim, should be forced to post online because all of the people that they're sent to just simply don't want to do their jobs unless there's a friend or family member, and I obviously don't have one. So every one of these things, every one of these pieces of paper that I filled out, obviously no housing yet. These right here represent situations where people at CARE, who's supposed to be a non-profit agency, the workers are profiting from me showing up, obviously. The workers themselves are getting paid for this. Not like you think, no.
He says, not like I think. But the way that I think that they're getting paid for it is that they're getting paid to be there. Whether they're getting paid by the hour or getting paid by salary, it doesn't matter. They're getting paid a wage for doing a job. It's exactly what I think it is. If I hire somebody for 8 hours to mow lawns for me and they don't mow any lawns, they didn't do any work. What are we paying them for? This is a nonprofit that she works for, but she supposedly works for them. Well, where is her work? Where's the actual work that she's done? In 3 months' time, she's done nothing.
But they don't get paid. You guys all work for free. Oh no, we get paid, but it's not. I know what you're trying to say, but yeah. No, what I'm saying is they get a wage. Oh yeah, we get a wage. So the time that I come in here, whether they do anything or not, they're still getting paid. That's writing the clock. This is a non-profit, I get that. But if you guys receive any government funds, or if you guys work closely with the police department, then yes, there are rules and there's laws that need to be followed. They're absolutely not being followed. Shelley was telling me that you guys, the police, and what other agency are basically the triage thing here. The thing is, if you guys are working that closely with the police, and there's police officers who are harming me, and there are people here at CARE who are harming me, and that includes neglect, and neglect is a harm. this stuff. This one, by the time I saw it, it was 2 weeks old, but this a threat against me. And I do have to take these as credible threats because they have threatened to kill my sister and my niece in horrible ways. Now, I did send Shelley the evidence of this stuff. There is a lot of it. There's also the situation where I had to try.
By the way, I'm actually scrolling through the messages with Shelley at that point. I'm showing him that I sent her those messages. I am showing him that I sent her evidence of those things. They want to keep pretending that I'm schizophrenic or delusional for telling the truth. And it is pretending. They have seen, Russell has seen evidence to the contrary by people with basically the equivalent of an alphabet after their name with, well, I don't have any college time. I have no basis to compare at all. But it seems to me that most of these evaluators who stated outright that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional have between 20 and 30 years of schooling. I don't know how they found time to become doctors.
Turn in the abuse in the jail. Mandatory reporters include lawyers, attorneys. It includes mental health workers, which includes the people that they send out with care. And if they're not mental health workers, they should not be going out to the jail and pretending to be. They also claim that they were coming out there to try to help me to get housing, and
Yeah, they tried to use the housing thing to try to obtain my medical records. Which, if it's to help me get housing, yes. If they're trying to use it to weasel their way out of trouble, no. So I had them write down on the piece of paper that it was only to be used for housing. We still haven't gotten housing. I was still in jail when that happened. I'd only been in jail a month or two by the time those folks came in to pull that crap. I spent 15 months in jail. There was a man who threatened to kill me, threw objects at me, and was human trafficking here in Tillamook, which, of course, you guys have this wild Hollywood version of human trafficking. No, that's not what it is. It's not all sex trafficking. There's also work trafficking.
let me see that real quick. I need to look at something. One of the ones I did, I just find the right one. That way I get a day about when I did it, so it looks through my emails and the thing is, write down the ones I did send off for you. All of these agencies are aware that I'm not schizophrenic or delusional. The situation with Natalie Ballinger is real. That's proof enough. That's what they tried to pretend is a delusion in every single one of my cases. I was sent to, the judge told me that I'm supposed to turn in this stuff to their investigator. And the investigator's name was, let me find it because they gave me the number for it. Wrong phone. This is one of the situations of being locked in jail. I wasn't able.
And I got 3 phones that I'm in there showing him. I'm showing him evidence from before I went to jail. I'm showing him evidence from after I got out of jail. And I'm showing him evidence from while I was at jail with deputies' names written on them. I mean, I'm showing this guy what's going on. He's not able to see much. I've got a whole bag of evidence that I've gone there with. And at this point, he's wanting to, make sure that he gets his bases covered. So he pulled out some of the intake forms, which is all there is in my file, just to make sure that he got the information right. And that's good. That helps me. That helps to establish the timeline of when I filled that stuff out versus Shelley procrastinating. Like, I've seriously had to sit through Shelley and think to myself, so at what point do I have to ask her when she's on drugs? And I don't ask her that. Obviously, it's not my business what she's on. But if she's not able to do her job, she should not be there. Alright, I pressed play, but apparently the rain is going too much. So I'm going to pause it for a second. Hopefully the rain will slow down. Alright, I think it's starting to close a little bit down, or slow down a little bit. Sorry. I am extremely tired. Having to go through this was extremely taxing. Russell was not the issue. Russell absolutely was not the issue here.
That phone number, and then my predators get to pretend that I'm. We'll have to show it visually for each one to make it easier to understand. So, John Holland and Mary at TFCC committed these crimes repeatedly against me, even knowing that I was not schizophrenic or delusional. They continued to try to push that stuff. Here's what I sent the investigator. Her name is Kylie.
So at that point, what I'm showing him is the stuff that I've been showing you guys. Like, yeah, I sent them a whole bunch of evidence. Like, when I sent them that stuff, that was all, like, pretty fresh. I mean, it's not like this stuff was 2 years old or anything. It's not even like it was 2 months old or anything. It's like, this is how long it took for TFCC to get an investigator, apparently. But the investigator never investigated. Instead, John Holland, who knew that this was not a delusion at that point, went into court in April of last year and lied to the fucking judge. Pardon my French. Tried pretending that I threatened their weekend worker. Well, they shouldn't have given me the number of a weekend worker then. They should have given me the number of the investigator. Again, their screw up, not mine. Anybody can look at those things and tell that it's got my name on it. My name. Those threats are towards me. Those are evidence of threats against me. Evidence that them claiming these are delusions, and they continued to claim those were delusions afterwards. They just kept on pretending they were delusions, and they had that evidence the whole time. At this point, what I'm showing to Russell is a piece of paper that I took with me. I took the actual piece of paper with me, too. I'm showing him the verification to Kylie that I did send this stuff, that I did send verification, that I am not schizophrenic or delusional. I took it in person to show them. They refused to look at it in person. At least I sent it. At least I tried, because they make it impossible.
Evidence of people. I'm not sure if you noticed. It says hello again, Sean. It doesn't say hello again, Kylie. It doesn't say hello again, Kylie, I'm going to kill and rape your sister's kid. No, it says hello, Sean. The fact that these people, there is evidence that many of these people who harass me are also coordinating with people like Andrew Holmes. They aren't just harassing me on the internet. They're not just harassing me in real life, and they are working together, and there is a lot of evidence of it. Now, this stuff right here, I sent it to the investigator, and they continued to pretend that these were delusions despite the actual evidence of it.
The last two apps we sent out was the Willet and Holy Creek.
Yep, and I think those are the two that I have, because you told me that, yeah.
If you looked at the last video, I think he's correct. Those are the last two that we sent out. Like I said, what happened is we did them 2 by 2, and the last two that we did, he couldn't find them. So he gave me 2 more pieces of paper. That's proactive, right? That's doing something. And not only is it doing something, it's doing something right away. It didn't take him 3 months to still not give me any pieces of paper. I offered. Shelly wanted to check the emails. When did she check the emails? She talks nice, but does nothing. No matter how many big words you use, or how lavish the conversation you try to provide, the fact is, if you have a job to do and you're not doing that job, you're still not doing that job.
That Kara had lost them, somebody had lost them, and then I filled those out again, and I brought them in, and when I brought them in and handed them to you, you said that you had found them, and I have actually the copies in here somewhere of the 2 that I have.
Oh, no, I'm just saying, that's why I was looking on the intake sheet. Right here, Holden Creek and the Willett.
So
I'm just going back further, because I know we're only doing 2 at a time. I didn't want to overwhelm you.
So the thing here is that these people tried to did claim in court that I had threatened their weekend worker. Apparently this wasn't an investigator, it was a weekend worker. And the stuff that I was sending her are obviously threats against me, not against her. I was told to take screenshots and send them if I have recordings to send them. If you listen to this one. Hear that sound?
Yeah, you played that for me not too long ago.
Alright, so yeah, I spent 15 months because that guy came at me with a pipe on 2 different occasions, and I had to try to turn it in deputies and police officers who I was trying to turn in. Obviously, that's not going to work. The only way that they're legally allowed to do that is by claiming that I'm schizophrenic or delusional. The evidence that you've got to see shows that I'm not. And there's also the evidence that shows that Kara was aware of this before I was incarcerated. The FCC was aware of this. I've got evidence that they were aware of this going all the way back to 2022. And instead of acknowledging that they were aware, it shows in my paperwork. There's quite a paper trail. Instead, they started playing the delusional thing, pretending that I have delusional persecution based on fixed delusions of some friend, whatever. But the thing is that the evidence that you've already got to see shows that it lives on.
Sorry about that. I'm moving my bags of evidence over a little bit. I got to organize this stuff, and then I have to move it so that I have room to do things, room to move around, and then I got to start sorting through it again every time I start going at it again. But my bed is the same thing that I use to sort all of this on. So in order to get any sleep, I have to make it complicated. A lot of you guys, you have an area that you can do that stuff. My entire tent here is too small to fit a king-size bed. I don't know if you could fit a queen-size bed in here, but it's for certainly not a large environment.
It's not a delusion. These people cannot continue to pretend that I'm delusional. And we can't be dealing with people like Shelly who's going to take that stuff. But I'm obviously not getting access to any of the stuff that I brought in. Obviously, the stuff that we sent for housing also isn't in here. I don't have any copies of that with, what's her name, Melissa staying on the phone call yesterday asking if I made these calls. I've never done this stuff, okay? I've had to have help with this. That's one of the things about being autistic and being in a state of crisis. I can't function. I can't do these things myself. When I fill these things out and I bring them in, I'm lucky that I was able to get it done. So,
It's primarily the PTSD that makes that an issue, but the autism doesn't help. Being overwhelmed is the reason that I'm unable to function. These people knew from the very start. All of these people in Colorado that I had to go to before Natalie was killed, they knew how to blow me off. They knew how to pretend it wasn't their job, to let me know that I just simply don't matter. They knew how to run me around in circles. Now, when I had to try to speak to the investigators in Natalie's case when she died, that's something I had to fight hard to make happen. I had to call them repeatedly and say, hey, I got evidence here that you really need to look at. I did the right thing. I have to. Mandatory reporters aren't going to do it.
Obviously, the lies from the FCC and the lies from people that care and the slander from them, despite all evidence to the opposition, has resulted in me being harmed, not just by those peoples, but also from each of these agencies that I've been sent to. If you got somebody who's being paid as a framer, they got to show up and they got to.
You notice all of your favorite YouTubers, when they sit down and do their true crime podcasts, they do it from inside of a nice room with nice decorations, and they know how to do all this fancy editing stuff and so on. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice if I could do that? If I wasn't depending on the rain to shut the fuck up to get some work done.
Do the job or they don't get paid, they lose their job. Miss Shelley, on the other hand, doesn't have to do her job. She's still here. You know, I've got people telling me, hey man, you know, I was smoking that shit with Shelley just last week. Like, well, if you're gonna say that stuff, why don't you prove it? If she's really doing that stuff, why don't you step forward? If you're smoking that stuff with her down there, then why is it that you're out here running your mouth instead of turning it in if that is really happening? At the same time, she's saving a whole bunch, which is not my fault. And the abuse continues while she's safe, and I'm told, well, I need to turn it into a regular family member.
All right, I'm going to stop it there. Obviously, there's a lot more that's got to go down, but the rain is being a pain. Now, as soon as we get to the part with Sean Hudson, you'll realize the dude is just going to talk over me like I'm an idiot. See, I already knew my stuff before I walked in there. He had to ask somebody else. Meanwhile, the things that he was saying were absolutely wrong. This is the stuff that they're supposed to blow us off so they can try to avoid liability. If they change your words enough, then it's your fault. If they change your words enough, it is your fault. This is why you always record. I'm going to end this video. I'm super tired, so I'll probably take a nap if I'm able. When I get back up in a few hours, I'll finish posting the rest of it. It's not like anybody is actually going to watch these.